Live from parts unknown, you're listening to Simon Miller's Pro Wrestling Podcast, the only wrestling podcast on the planet, we think. Sit back, relax, prepare for positivity to run through your veins as Simon Miller gives you your weekly dose of powerful pro wrestling audio. It is Miller Time.
Hello and welcome to Simon Miller's Pro Wrestling Show. If you're wondering why I don't call it a podcast anymore, I'm not going over it again. We addressed this in an old episode. You can go listen to it. It's nice and simple. There's nice and simple rules, but that's basically me teasing you, telling you to go listen to an old episode. But thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for downloading me. You'll probably notice that there are a few more episodes over the last week or so. That's because the week that is coming up, as I'm recording this, I realised my calendar was a little bit stacked. I don't want to let people down, so I made sure I got loads done. Please do remember, you can support the podcast at patreon.com/Simon316. As a few people have asked me, yeah, I got new merch now. As the wrestling journey slowly comes back into vision, you can go to simonmiller.bigcartel.com, that's Big Cartel, and you can get a t-shirt of me slapping my head, because who doesn't want that? Anyway, let's get on with today's show. As you probably know, we always try and get Patreons on so they can contribute to the community that I've built up, and that's why I'm very happy today to say my man Tom is joining us. Tom, let me know what's going down. How are you?
Yeah, I'm alright, man. Thank you very much for having me on. It's much appreciated.
No, thank you, dude. I appreciate the support.
No, I mean, I will. That t-shirt, as it is payday today, that's getting sorted after this.
Oh, dude, you're my favourite person today, then. You're living my dream.
Exactly. Well,
right, I do. It's good as well. Look at that. Secret promotion. I love it. No, it's not really secret. Well, I guess everything's secret promotion.
It's nice to actually finally support people. So
thank you, man.
I actually finally got some income coming in.
Well, that's very kind
proper
of you,
decent income. I actually kind of support people because, you know, half the time, with YouTube and it being terrible, it's nice to actually give back.
It is more terrible than ever at the moment. That's a different podcast for a different time.
Yeah.
But my word, if I could show you the back end of YouTube sometimes, I don't think many people would believe it. But let's not talk about that. Let's talk about pro wrestling. Look, let's face it, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for YouTube, so it's a double-edged sword. Dude, fill me in, man. Tell me, how did you get into wrestling?
Blimey.
What's your wrestling story? I know they're always crazy, but they always lead somewhere.
Right, yeah, it's a bit weird because obviously I'm only 19, so I've not been in this so obviously the whole Attitude Era completely lost to me. Obviously I've seen bits with the network being the most amazing, but I personally advocate it being great for someone like me who hasn't seen stuff. But I kind of start off back in school. I remember a guy, one of my friends, he used to come up to me and he was like, "Have you heard of this thing called wrestling?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't." So he's like, "Okay, I'll come back to you tomorrow." Comes back in, gives me the DVD of the 2008 Royal Rumble, the one where John Cena comes in at the end.
Dude, what a way to start, my friend.
So that's the first thing I see. I see that, and I'm like, okay, right, I'm in. And then
just for the reaction, dude. Just for the reaction.
Yeah, and then but the thing was, because it was like the first event I've seen, I had no context, to nothing. So it was this idea of, obviously, when I'm watching it later on, when he comes in, they're like, "Oh, he's amazing, it's John Cena, he's back." Oh, wait, hang on, we don't actually like it. There's a bit of a weird mix from the crowd, but yeah, it's great.
I was going to say, that must have been so confusing, because that's the show where he walks in, everyone loses their mind, and then realises 2 minutes later, oh, wait, we don't like him. Boo him.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. But then obviously when he goes on to win the thing, and then you see the whole like WrestleMania sign just like blow up all the pyro and everything, it's just like, oh, hang on. That must mean something important then.
Yeah.
So then you dig in from there, and then I know I had a brother and my cousin. I spoke to him about this thing I've just seen, and he's like, "Yeah, I've been going on it for years." And there was me and him just messing around, him just beating the crap out of me, with like putting me in headlocks and stuff like that, and I'm like, okay, this seems fun. So let's get into this. So ever since then, it's been on and off, obviously, because with like schoolwork and stuff. I never had Sky, so I've not been it's been hard to access it, especially here in the UK. So yeah, it's been very interesting. You know, it's been the old DVD I borrowed off a friend of mine, put that on. It's the odd event here and there. But then when it got more entrenched, I think I would probably say that as of WrestleMania 25, when I sat down, watched that whole event, and it was mainly, you know, that Money in the Bank match at the beginning, when Punk wins the Money in the Bank there,
yeah,
and then that first Michaels Taker match just blew me away.
Of course, man. What a time for you to start watching. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Because, like, I mean, you can look at it both ways. There are some people that go, oh, well, you can only truly appreciate... Shut up. That match is good, regardless how you look at it, because if nothing else, you get the you get the sort of natural reaction from the fans, right? And you can tell something special's going on. You're like, oh wait, this is a big deal. Oh man, what a time to get in.
Especially because obviously Taker and Michaels, obviously it's kind of argued whether or not they're in the prime still or not, but it's like these, you can obviously tell that compared to the other guys on the card that these were two dudes that have probably been here for quite a while.
Yeah.
And if this is the first thing I've ever seen of them, and it was just the aura of the Undertaker that got me hitching it. Like that man is probably the thing that got me into wrestling the most, was the fact, just his aura and everything. And then obviously we got the progression of those 3 matches, especially when Michaels does his entrance in 25, when he comes out pretty much as like the White Undertaker.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And then when I get told about what the Undertaker, like his old, like his past, when he's in the debut in the Survivor Series match, which like blew the doors off everything, and then obviously in that first Hell in a Cell when Kane comes around, it's amazing. And then you've got the bit in the middle that I don't really like to talk about of the American Badass Undertaker. Yeah, it's this bit that we just don't feel like we should need to talk about.
I tell you, man, it's this thing, right? Because you saw that Undertaker, you're like me. You are in that bracket of Dead Man Undertaker. Yeah. But the people that if you'd started watching it in 1999 or something, or 2001, whenever the hell he came in, 2001, you apparently, I don't know, I can only speak for other people. But I tell you, that's what it is. If you see him, all of a sudden you think this Dead Man is really stupid, even though people that think that are wrong. It's a joke. But that's what it is. I think it all depends on your first exposure. And I think the Dead Man character is so cool that it's hard to then accept him being a dude that is driving around in a bandana.
Yeah,
like,
and then he comes out of the ring to the ring, runs around the ring with a motorcycle. It's just like, well, hang on, this has just changed dramatically.
Yeah, too much.
And then when it changes back, it's just like, okay, it's a bit sudden, but I prefer this. This is a lot better. This Undertaker's a lot better.
That's wrestling summed up. I was sometimes when mates ask me about the Undertaker, and you have to explain his story. You go, well, he's dead, but he's not really dead. Then he was a biker, then he was dead again. And they go, this is why I don't watch wrestling. I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it.
He's controlled by a magical urn. You know, it's just like
I get it. I get why people think it's stupid. It is weird
because like I didn't with Paul Bearer as well. I honestly thought that was just his name, and then I was like, oh, hang on. I understand what his name means now, so it was just like, oh, okay. It kind of adds to it a little bit more.
Oh, dude, I remember I was about 22 when I realised that, Paul Bearer. And then I felt really embarrassed. I was like, man, that is the most on-the-nose thing ever. But I think that's why, I think it's so on the nose. And because mostly when you first meet The Undertaker, you are a kid, so you're not really looking for you know, awful analogies. Not the right word, but I like that. I like The Undertaker brought you in. So, we'll keep going with your story, then I'll talk to you about.
So there was that, and then obviously with like school getting in the way and everything, it's been a bit hit and miss of what I've been watching. I've always tried to keep up with all the pay-per-views. SmackDown and Raw. SmackDown, obviously, I'm drawing to a lot more over the past like year and a half. It's just the product has been so much better, and NXT is just amazing. It's so good. I was lucky enough to go and see an NXT UK taping in Plymouth.
How was that?
That was awesome, because it was the one where they revealed the UK Tag Champs.
Oh, nice, dude. So you had a bit of a moment as well.
So we have that moment, and it's the fact that there's Triple H coming out in my town. And I'm like, oh, okay. That's you can see him, because obviously it was the event. With what I love about NXT is the fact that the venues are a lot smaller. So it feels a lot more intimate.
Yeah.
So you've got Triple H coming out, and then obviously it was done. Those recordings were done the week after the show in Australia, which is a bit. So I was looking on Twitter like the day before we were going in, on the way in, and then there's Triple H putting out that he's been to Australia, and that now he's on the way to Plymouth to come to these recordings. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is good. Something's going to happen here. So that comes out, and then there's the bit at the end of it. I can't remember if it was actually shown, but Shawn Michaels comes out one of the episodes to he saves Pete Dunne and Mustache Mountain at one point to like count as like a unofficial referee type thing, and he comes out and he does switch in music, and I'm like, right, well, I'm done. I don't need to do anything else.
I love it, man.
I think I've seen everything I need to see now. I can clock out here and I can go home a very happy man.
That's kind of cool too, dude, given that you just mentioned the Taker Shawn Michaels match, and then in your hometown, like 10 years later, whatever the hell it is, you get to that's badass.
I get to see him, and it's just like as soon as I was like taking photos and stuff, and I I kind of recorded Triple H's entrance at the beginning when he come in, and as soon as I did that, I sent that to my cousin. Stu, you will be listening. I know he will. So I sent that to him, and he was just like, "You're a bastard, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Well, it's not my fault. I didn't know it was going to happen."
When you get called a bastard, dude, you've done something right. That's why people call people bastards. It's like, I win.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
And does that kind of bring us up to speed then? That's where you are now. Like, how much do you watch these days?
Well, obviously, all the pay-per-views all the time. SmackDown, I dabble in every now and again. Raw, I kind of really can't watch that due to the fact that it's so long.
Yeah,
it's very annoying.
I get it, man. I get it.
Well, I feel like over the past year and a half, I've kind of been opened up to there's a life outside the WWE. I think ever since All In was going around last year, it was just like, oh, hang on. So there's so much stuff in New Japan that tied into it, bits of Ring of Honor that all tied into it. So it's like, okay, let's go out and have a watch all of this. And that's where I think YouTube and how the Bucks and Cody did with being the Elite kind of expanded like the wrestling scope for a lot of people, because it enables them to be like, oh, hang on, there's a lot more stuff, especially when Jericho come in, when he has that appearance at All In, which must have been mental for you, when he has that appearance at All In, and it's just like, oh, hang on, there's this big, who everyone thought was going to be a massive WWE guy, turns up at this big indie event. It's just like, okay, so these things are they're starting to turn heads for this big.
I don't know if I've ever told that story. I didn't know it was Jericho, but I saw the because where we were sat, I saw the Pentagon Junior guy like hanging, because we could see like the backstage area from where we were sitting. So at one point I saw Colt Cabana just icing his shoulder watching the match. I was like, this is more interesting than the wrestling. I'm going to watch this. Yeah. And we saw a guy we saw him, and I was like, I don't know. At the time I didn't pay any attention to it. And then we saw him get rushed out, and I was like, okay, I don't know, it'd be something. I thought it was Pac, actually. I thought it was going to be Neville. And then when it was Jericho, man, I tell you, the best thing about All In, and I get heat for this all the time, but I don't care. The best thing about it was just the crowd and the reaction. Everything was like a Hogan Rock Mania 18 reaction, and you couldn't help but just get involved. Like, this is the best shit ever. Like, it was good.
It's because it was like the first thing of its kind, really. Obviously, we've had like in Japan with all your Wrestle Kingdoms being amazing shows, but then it was the fact that this was a massive event in America, held up by all these people that obviously a lot. The larger wrestling community would probably know it, but obviously a lot of people are still, they've kind of like funneled into the WWE. So you've got all these, it's kind of like, for me, because it was like one of the first independent events I actually sat down and watched the whole thing. Yeah. It was here's all these people. Some of them I already know, like Cody and all the Bucks and stuff, via being the Elite and stuff. But they're like, here's all these people. These people are amazing. Because it was like, that event was the first time I saw Kenny Omega like actually have a match.
Well, that's it's incredible, right?
Blimey, this guy's amazing. Let's go back and have a look at all this back catalogue of it. Like, and then there was me going on YouTube for like hours after the event, like thinking like his feud with him and Okada, like all those matches arriving to Wrestle Kingdom 13. What was it, last year before? Like the big culmination match of those. It was just like, blimey, this is great. 'Cause, like, the New Japan stuff, I am interested in it, but I will only come and sit down when it comes to like Wrestle Kingdom time, because I feel like at the minute there's everything. There's so much wrestling at the minute, which is amazing, but it's also like I haven't got all my time in the world. So I come down, I'll watch Wrestle Kingdom, but I'll watch your Tanahashis, your Okadas, and then I'll watch probably Mo. But then again, we don't know what's happening with them at the minute yet, so that's going to be interesting.
Well, I tell you, dude, like, there's nothing wrong with that. Loads of people watch WWE like that. I got loads of mates that now are interested in what's going on in WWE just because, it's WrestleMania time. They're like, well, I'm going to watch WrestleMania, so I may as well get involved. So there is this thing, you just watch New Japan. Yeah, loads of people do that, schmuck. So it's like, it's fun. The thing I definitely want to talk about, man, because I don't think we've ever had someone on that sort of found. I know obviously you watched Being the Elite because of YouTube, but how did you find it? Like, it's because Cody Rhodes left and you were like, oh, where's he gone? Like, I find that fascinating.
I know Cody left because obviously I was in that era when Cody was going around with this stupid face mask and the bag on his head, and then he comes out later on down the line as Stardust or whatever it was. Yeah. And then it's just like, okay, so then he just disappears, because a lot of the time, see, back then I'm not cluing into the internet, like, oh, he's gone to this, doing that. And then I think I must have been just watching a wrestling video or something, and then it pops up on my recommendation.
Amazing, man. How crazy is that system to open people's eyes?
Because it's always that or Simon Gotch burying Enzo. So,
that one, dude, that's so true. That every wrestling video, that's the first one. I've seen it. I don't need to watch it again.
Exactly. It's that, and then I see this thing, and it's like it's Cody Rhodes being him, and I go into it, and I'm like, this is amazing. Like him, and like it was mainly when the Bullet Club was kind of becoming this massive thing, because obviously I didn't know about until looking into it about like the whole AJ Styles like implemented the Bullet Club when Finn Balor himself like pretty much made the thing. I didn't know anything about that. It was the era of the Bucks, and Cody was the era of the Bullet Club that I kind of read into a bit more. But then obviously when finding the backstory to it, but seeing these people on a different platform other than WWE, and kind of seeing that, because towards the end of Cody's run in the WWE, he kind of got screwed a lot with the character he was given. I feel that it wasn't the best. And him going off to becoming this American Nightmare, obviously the play on what his dad did for the American Dream is just amazing. The fact, and plus, I feel that for him, it all culminated all in. Obviously, this event that he made and when he won the NWA Championship, and he's finally kind of following in his father's footsteps, especially with AEW coming up. It's gonna be what's it called now?
AEW, All Elite Wrestling. I was right. All Elite Wrestling. Yeah, you were right, man. You could have kept going. Right. You were smashing it, bro.
Yeah, so there's that. And then him finally following in the footsteps of like Dusty and like creating this new thing for loads of new people to come up with is just amazing.
I think the best thing about that is, you came to wrestling, Royal Rumble 1998, which, there's nothing on WWE TV. There's a little thing, but would let you know about all this history with Cody Rhodes and his dad and the NWA. Yeah. But look what you've been able to learn just thanks to the internet, and especially the way that Cody Rhodes presents himself on the internet, especially same with the Young Bucks. I think that gets underrated. I know a lot of people like to poo-poo all that, go, it's not a sustainable business model. And I would say it's probably not now, but I bet as the years go by, it becomes one. Because look at your journey is amazing, dude. Like you're getting via WWE, as we most do. Yeah. But now you know what New Japan is, you know what Ring of Honor is, Dusty Rhodes, Cody Rhodes. It's like, no one's told you that. It's just the information that's been thrown out there.
That's why I'm honestly obviously the internet and all the articles and stuff going around, but it's also one of the reasons why I'm a very big advocate of the network, because there's the whole back catalogue there, and it's not just the WWE. You've got the WCW stuff. So I have, the ability to go back, see, like I was saying earlier, see all the Undertaker's old stuff, see all these people, finally sit down and watch the Screwjob, something that I'd never seen before the network because you couldn't get hold of it.
Yeah,
that's why I think the streaming service is going very well, and I will always be advocating for that to anyone who wants to get into it. If you like, just buy this. If like you say, first month free and all that, but it's a good way to be getting in. The only thing I honestly don't like about the network is the fact that Raw and SmackDown aren't there.
Yeah,
as soon as it's done, I think they're missing a trick with that. I think they really are.
Well, I think the problem is, man, they get paid so much money for these exclusive rights. Look, I've said this the other day on a What Culture video. I don't think they give a shit about the network anymore. I think as soon as TV went, we're just going to pay you $2 billion, the network makes them what? I don't know the maths, but nowhere near that. I think they're kind of like, look, it's good that it's there. It's good that we retain rights over our own content. But I don't think you're going to get... I would say, honestly, 2026 is the first year when that may even become a thing. And you're not going to be... I'm going to be old. Like, I'm going to be an old man. In terms of the network, how do you know what to watch when you go back? Because this is fascinating to me, because the network was something that I was desperate for as an older fan. I was like, oh man, I can go back and watch all the stuff I remember as a kid. For you, it's more of like a historical tool. So how do you find out about the Screwjob? How do you find out about, say... Well, I guess you were there for CM Punk, but how do you find it? What do you do? What's your process?
I like with the network. It's what they do is there's these collections of all the, like this Shawn Michaels one, the Jericho one, the one with Bret Hart, the one with the Macho Man. Or I will sit down and just watch all of these, and then it'd be like, because it's very WWE. It's just like, oh, this is us telling their story. So I'm like, hang on. So it's kind of like, let's just pick these matches out and go back to the actual event and watch it unfold completely.
Yeah,
just like. The Screwjob itself it's probably, like I say, it's probably one of the biggest events that's probably ever happened in that company. Probably, I would even argue to this day. I don't think anything. Maybe Punk like leaving, but obviously we know he didn't really leave and all that sort of stuff until he actually properly did. But yeah, the way that that's done, and you can see how pissed off Bret Hart is. But then how that would obviously, as a result of that, we get him going to WCW, and it's just like, oh, hang on. It's kind of them. I feel like after that, you get this realization that for a lot of people, you get this idea that there is this other brand. It may not be as big as us yet. It's not. WCW at this point wasn't really rivaling the WWE as much as it would go on to be in the late 80s, in the 90s mainly, and the early noughties. But it's this idea of people are able to go away now and kind of not rebuild themselves, because when Bret goes off, he doesn't really change his character dramatically. But it's like, I can go. I don't have to be in this monopolized wrestling world anymore.
How do you find out at WCW? This has become more like a case study for me now, man, because I know that it's on there, but it's still, by the time you started watching wrestling, it's 7 years dead. So do you just see it on one of the sort of windows, or the windows, whatever you want to call it, a thumbnail?
Like I say, I won't sit down and watch like all these massive WCW events, because obviously we know that it gets a bit poor towards the end, just a little bit.
Dude, it gets awful. Don't muck around. I loved WWE. I was always a WWE guy, but I loved WCW. It was shit at the end. It was awful.
But it's like this. I think we're getting. I'm not really in. I would never sit down and watch the whole WCW back catalogue. But it's this idea of, you got these people when they come. It's when they come back to WWE. Like when Flair comes back and they rerun all this stuff. It's just like, well, hang on. He had this massive career before he even turned up.
Yeah.
So it's just like, well, let's explore some of that, And I say when Hogan goes in the early, when Hogan goes, it's just like, oh, hang on, this must be important, because if this flagship man of this company goes away to the rival, it's just like, oh, hang on. So it's like someone for me going back and looking at this history and kind of. It's annoying because I'm doing history at university, so it's fascinating for me to going back and saying, oh, this is where we were, so this is how it kind of influences where we are now.
Yeah, honestly, man, if you ever make it to WWE, they're going to love you. This is the stuff they always say. If you don't know the history, boy, we're going to come and crush you. You'll be right up there, street man. Honestly, I think it's a testament to you as well, because I personally do think WWE in general is a bit like a sitcom, or like a sort of a well-structured sitcom, in the sense you get more out of it if you know where they've come from. Yeah. I do think they lean on that a lot. Like you said, they'll mention Dusty Rhodes, but they never explain to you who Dusty Rhodes is. No. You're just meant to figure it out, and fair play to you, man.
Yeah, especially obviously when he comes over to WWE, it's just like, get him in a spotty suit, and it's just like, well, hang on, no, he's very good.
Oh yeah, oh dude, I mean,
it's just very annoying because obviously I didn't grow up at that time, so it's going back and seeing a little bit in WCW, and then it's just like, this is what WWE did with him. It's just like, that's a damn shame. They really missed the trick with this.
Yeah, oh dude, I mean, yeah, sometimes pride comes before a fall. This doesn't really tie in, but the whole YouTube thing's got me intrigued. Do you listen to many wrestling podcasts? I mean, obviously you listen to mine, which I appreciate it, but have you? Yeah. I listen to loads because I'm a loser, but.
Well, I listen to yours, obviously. I listen to obviously the What Culture Boys when they do their thing, because I find that the way that structured very well. I listen to a bit of Jericho's. When Jericho did his one a couple months ago, talking about how he got to AEW, I had to listen to this.
Yeah, of course, yeah, it's amazing.
Because I think it was just fascinating. But other than that, no, not really. I will do two or three. Like I say, podcast. I do like them, but it's this idea of timing. Well, yeah. I can't be sitting down. Because most podcasts are like, hour and a half type of thing. I can't be sitting down watching 3 hours of Raw, hour and a half SmackDown, catching up with everything else, and it's just like, okay, let's see what other people. It's just like, not that I'm not interested in what other people like yourself have to say about this, but it's just like, blimey, there's a lot, and it's just like, I've got the time of day.
Oh yeah, dude. The hardest thing about being again, this is why I think if you started watching wrestling, here we are, 11 years on. I think if you tried to start watching wrestling now, flipping heck, as soon as you're told, it's 5 hours minimum, you may go, yeah. Like I know it was kind of similar in 2008, but it was different. It didn't feel as like.
Yeah, I think the way it flowed back then was very cool. But like I say, we're on the brink of Wrestlemania now, and we're adding up 18 matches, so it's going to be like a 6.5+ hour show, and it's going to be like. I don't know where, like, especially for us in the UK.
It's going to be 7, man. I tell you, it's going to be 7. I've convinced myself.
They're expecting, 17 plus matches on the thing.
Well, yeah,
and we're sat there, we're going like, we start at 12. Pre-show's going to be like an hour. After that, what annoys me about the pre-show is that you get some quality stuff, like with the cruiserweight stuff recently. It's very good stuff, but it's the fact that it's in with so much guff and filler. I don't really like those panels they do on the pre-shows.
I don't get who they're for. And also, if you're going to have a panel, don't put wrestlers on it. Put panel people on it. I've seen the wrestlers all the time. Put other people on it. Like, make it like, I don't know what BBC does or UFC does. I never understand that now. Let's just put the wrestlers you see every week on it. It's like, well, why?
Yeah, and it's very, especially I feel for the cruiserweights as well. Like, personally, I don't watch 205 Live, but I know after I will watch every time, I will sign up and be like, I will watch their match on a pre-show because I know it's going to be probably one of the best ones on the card, hands down. Exactly. It's the same with like your NXT takeovers. I will religiously watch NXT day in, day out, and NXT UK all the time because I know it's not going to be a better. It's on paper, the way it's been written out is a lot better.
But what it's done is, man, it's built up trust in you. That's the other thing. You know that when you tune in, you're going to enjoy it. And that's the problem that really people have with Raw, even if it's subconscious. They think, well, what am I going to get this week? Because it could be brilliant.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, but
we're 2 weeks out from WrestleMania now, and we have no idea who's challenging for the WWE Championship.
I know, honestly, man.
And it's just like, well, come on, you've got to tell us earlier. Like, we'd known in January Rollins was going for the Universal title because he won the Rumble. Yeah. He wasn't going to WWE, but it's just we're 2 weeks out. Let us get excited.
Yeah, dude, nail on the head, man. But I think to be fair, they do usually do that. I don't know why this one has been so different or why they're all over the place with it, but I guess it's just things keep changing. Like Kofi Kingston was never meant to be the plan. I'm guessing they never figured that Roman Reigns would be back. So, you've got all of that. So they're doing the best they can, but it's absolutely is a crazy one. Dude, before we get into more general stuff, the last thing I want to talk to you about is you get into wrestling 2008. I'm guessing, given your knowledge and the way you're talking about it, you also find out about, behind the stage wrestling news. How does that happen, man? Because I always find that fascinating. I still know people that won't read it. They won't read it. They don't care.
I don't get into this until, I wouldn't say this wrestling news stuff until like a year and a half ago. Honestly,
oh, really? Right, okay.
Yeah, it's weird. And then it's because of you guys doing your thing, and then you're mentioning this magical wizard man called Dave Meltzer going on about all this stuff, and I'm like, how does he know all this? How does he get all this information? And then you go and you looking at the Observer and stuff. It's just like stuff like that fascinates me because it's like, how is he getting all this? He's just like, and then you after that you got the spin-off stuff of like, then you've got all these people interpreting what Meltzer's saying, and it's interesting because like the way the backstage stuff, I think it takes away from the product and one adds to it. Because obviously you got this idea, especially with NXT, because you got all the tapings. It's taped in advance, so all that news comes out of like how matches end and stuff like that. And then, but you've also got this idea of, I may know this, but I'm still gonna go and watch it. I'm still gonna go and sit down and watch that 4-way we had or 5-way we had last week for this contender for the NXT Championship. Even though I know that it was Adam Cole all along, but I'm still going to watch it because you've got all these massive, like really big. It's all the big stars in NXT in one match. I'm not going to miss that.
Yeah. I mean, I credit. We'll call them dirt sheets because that's what everybody uses. But I credit dirt sheets with really cementing my love for wrestling because I agree. I think they ruin wrestling. They just break it because they just do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there was when I had my time out, which I feel like most people do. I got back into it randomly, by starting to read stuff like that and being like, oh wow, I didn't know this happened. That's when I really started to figure out, the weird little things that fans really shouldn't know, but we do, like what a gorilla position is. We should never know that's called the gorilla position, but we do.
Not.
And that's when I really opened the door and thought, oh my gosh, I love this. And I started watching again properly, and that was it. I knew it. I'm back for life, given that I've come back. But I find it fascinating that, again, much like when a lot of people take a break, we somehow all, and that's why there must be something in it. We all find our ways to people like Dave Meltzer or whoever you go, be it, what culture, all these kind of people that are giving the dirt. And I guess it just ties into the whole wacky thing of what you're seeing isn't necessarily quote unquote real, and yet all the stuff you're hearing about behind the scenes is the realest shit you can imagine.
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously we obviously say it's not quote unquote real, but it's the fact that no other show, no other thing in the world gets covered in like these news things as much as wrestling does. Because obviously you don't see like EastEnders or Coronation Street getting all this news. No, you don't. It's a scripted program. It's definitive outcomes, but it's just like this because it's sports entertainment. We feel that as we're quite privileged in a way to have all these people.
I agree.
Like going in and looking at this thing as if it like it is a legitimate thing. Obviously, we all know it's but it is obviously people get hurt and everything. It's this massive thing now. Like I'd say over the past since probably about 2008 onwards, it's grown massively. But yeah, seeing all these people like commenting and having their own opinions, and then obviously you got Reddit Squared Circle where it's literally here's all the people pretty much in the world who like wrestling go to this one page to either catch up on their news or have discussions on it. It's just brilliant.
I honestly, I only found Squared Circle maybe 2 years ago, probably. Like I never really used to frequent there at all. I didn't really use Reddit, and then it was a friend of mine, which is rarely what happens. Said, Miller, have you ever, have you ever gone on Squared Circle? I said, well, I know it, but he goes, no, I think you'll like it. It's basically, it fires out news really quickly. And I did. I got into it. I was like, oh, this is. It's just a bunch of people yelling into the abyss.
Yeah, exactly.
I quite like it. I tell you, dude, I do videos like this all the time, and some people think I'm joking. I'm not. I genuinely think a new way to watch wrestling is you just get mad about it and go moan about it on Twitter. That's it. Yeah. That is it. Like that's the only way you need to do it.
It is interesting because obviously, like we say, Raw ended of 2018. Sorry, it wasn't the best it's ever been. So you've got all these people going on social media who's like, we don't like this, change it now, please, before you end up dropping off, because obviously we've got the rise of AEW coming up, so we could just jump ship quite easily now. So, and then obviously when they come out, it's just like, well, we'll change it and everything, but then it's just like, have you really? I think we're going to have to wait until the end of the year to really see if they've done any proper changes.
Dude, good attitude, my friend, I agree.
Because obviously, like we say, there was obviously the story with where Vince he goes to Triple H, bring me all your good guys, we'll just chuck them in because everyone seems to like it.
Because why the hell not? Yeah.
But then, not everyone watches NXT, so it's not this idea of chuck them all in there. They're already established. It's this idea of no, you've got to restart it. You've got to restart it there, but you can't. It's like you have to restart it, but in a way you don't, because obviously there's half the people that watch it, half the people that don't. But it's weird to me, especially when you see them on the main roster, when they come out on their entrances and they still have the NXT card, like their nameplate come up, and it's just like, well, are they on NXT or are they just are they jumping back and forth? Obviously, the minute they are, so it gets a bit confusing for like these quote unquote hardcore fans who will watch everything to like follow it.
I thought the same. Like on the Kofi Kingston gauntlet match on SmackDown this week, all of a sudden when we kept cutting backstage and more of the roster members were with him, all of a sudden Heavy Machinery were there. And I was like, oh yeah, we haven't decided what brand you're on yet. We're just I love the fact they were literally told, bros, you got to come to SmackDown because we need to just stand there for 3 seconds in a backstage segment. I bet they love that. But no, you're right. I get it. It's branding and it's good to get the NXT name out there. And I don't know what it does these days. I'm sure it's more popular than ever. And obviously the live shows, especially around WrestleMania, sell out. But yeah, you're right, man. Like if you just watch Raw, some people just watch Raw, they don't even watch SmackDown.
Yeah.
And if you just watch Raw and then a couple of dudes from NXT come out, it's up to WWE to explain to you why they're a big deal. And that takes time. You can't expect anybody. Yeah, even Goldberg, the person that was booked, what a great way to be booked. Like, right, what's going to happen, Goldberg, is you're going to come in, you're going to kick everybody's ass, and you're going to do it in about 2 minutes. It's like, that is literally what any wrestler in the world would want.
Yeah,
I want to come in.
That's why I can't complain about Lesnar. I cannot complain, because if I was getting given that like skips amount of money to turn up when I want, just kill everything and then go home again, you're not going to say no.
No one. There's the thing. Everyone. I think people turn wrestlers. They forget that they're human beings.
Yeah.
Like they really, really do. And I think that they forget again, like you say, that when they get offered an amazing opportunity, they're not just going to say no. They're going to be like, yeah, that sounds awesome. But also, too, they are. you know, they're just people like you and I, and they're going to try and get the best out of the situation for them. No one is so virtuous and selfless to go, but the fans won't like that. And that's never been said in the history of wrestling. And if you think a wrestler has said it, you're wrong. They haven't. Yeah. You know, it's a business, and a lot of people in business are cutthroat because, of course, again, that's just how it works. I got no problem with Lesnar, man. I do think I'm done with him being Universal Champion. But only because everything runs its course. Like, everything's got a shelf life, and, you know, we just got to the end of that, and I think we need to see it back on Raw just to establish it more as a championship.
I totally agree, because the way, obviously, it's been... I thought, as soon as Roman won, it's like, right, okay, he's finally done it. But then, obviously, because he has to go away again, it's just like... The default option was to, we'll just put it back on Lesnar. And I'm like, well, why? You, like, say, Balor he had it for a day. And then that was it. And then, obviously, he got injured, and it's just like, this belt's cursed, man. It's just like every time someone wins it, they've got to go, and then it's like, we'll just give it back to Lesnar because he's reliable. And it's just like, we need something on Raw, because that will have to, because as soon as that belt becomes back on Raw, it can refocus the whole show. Because the whole thing feels just like one show mid-card. Yeah. There isn't, because but when Lesnar turns up, like he did this week, it was this massive spectacle that he's here. This man, the beast is arrived, especially because Heyman's just amazing, and that he's managed to talk him up to this level of power that we all know he has because of the way he presents himself. But until that belt comes back on Raw, that whole show is I think it's pretty screwed, because they haven't really got this thing to be fighting for. Because the only thing that on Raw that is to be fighting for is this IC Championship, which has been thrown around recently so much. I think ever since Seth dropped it, it was just like, okay, that's it for the IC title for a bit. It's the same with the US title. The mid-card belts should be a lot more prominent.
They don't exist, man.
No, but I feel like, especially on Raw, the IC title needs to be a lot more prominent, because it's the only one there. They have nothing else there.
Dude, so true, man.
Yeah, it's like the US title on SmackDown. I agree, it needs to be more prominent. But what they're doing with Daniel Bryan at the minute is just so good, I can kind of let it slip there. But because on Raw, even the tag belts on Raw, their whole tag division on Raw is pretty much a shambles, because there isn't really much going on. Like I say, you got Black and Ricochet fighting on both brands in these title shots. To us, it's just really jarring. And then that's what I also find weird. That's why I kind of like the concept of the women's tag belts, where they can go from one brand to another, even down to NXT. So that's the thing. But then again, you've got this clash of, I personally didn't think we needed them, because I think the way, if you do that, Sasha Banks and Bayley, two of the best female wrestlers on that brand, have been thrown together just to have to do tag matches now. It's just like, I kind of wanted them to see do their own thing. If I feel that if we didn't have those women's tag belts, obviously, credit to them, they needed something, but it's this idea of, if we didn't have that, all these people would be single people, and they'd be going up against, you could have Sasha Banks and Asuka doing their thing again, and it's just like, well, but then you've got all these smaller people on the mid card, because we're expecting this 4-way at Mania for the women's SmackDown belt
pre-show.
I'm convinced. It wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me. A belt where this time last year was probably one of the best belts. It's the most coveted belt by the women.
Yeah, man. I tell you, it was that was the Charlotte Oscar match, right, last year?
Yeah,
I love that match. One of my favorite matches ever at WrestleMania. I thought it was brilliant.
It was great. Obviously, after that was a very good match. I was expecting Oscar to go over, but obviously now she's got the belt back. Ever since she won it in that ladder match, it was just like, okay, cool. Now what? Because I was expecting even Charlotte or Becky to be like, it's this idea of, now Asuka's won it, Charlotte and Becky are like, nah, I can't be asked for that belt anymore. Something they've worked at for the past 9 months to get fight over. And then as soon as they've lost, it's like, yeah, nah, we'll move over to something big. It's just like, don't want this anymore. It's just like, why? Give me a reason.
I know. Well, dude, as I always tell people that are getting in, the things you need to understand is you won't get a reason. There's no consistency. And if someone ever disappears from television, you just have to shrug your shoulders and go wrestling. I think that's what I tell people the most. Is if you're not willing to just say that's just because, do not watch pro wrestling. Well, no, that's not fair. Don't watch WWE, because they are the traits. What do you think about WrestleMania overall, man? Building up to it, you looking forward to it? Not looking forward to it?
I'm obviously looking forward to Mania. Always look forward to Mania, but I know that going into it, I'm going to be there from like midnight to like 5, 6 in the morning.
Oh, 7, man. 7.
Or whatever it's going to be. And I'm like...
all-nighter, brother.
It's going to be like it was last year, but it's going to be like... Yeah, but you won't be sleep deprived. You'll be sat there. You'll be fine. So, it's going to be interesting. Like, I feel like a lot of the stuff, like I say, going through the card, it's like, we've got 2 battle royals to sit through. And I'm like, okay. When most of the main female participants are already in another match doing something else. So it's just like, do I really need to see another female battle royal? The Andre is going to be full of so many people.
Oh, dude, they got to get everyone on that card, man. I think they're going to have more than 30. I think they have about 40 people in that thing.
I know, but what's annoying me is the fact that you're going to have the likes of Braun Strowman in it. You're going to have, Finn Balor, Bobby Lashley, so many good people. I wouldn't even surprise me if they... Oh, no, they can't do that. Sorry, anyway. But yeah, they're going to have all these big people in. It's be like, we haven't anything got you to do. Just go into this Battle Royal. And it's just like, well, okay. It's kind of that. I think I'm kind of in the camp with you with Angle. They have to change it.
I think they have to. Like, I had
like, everyone's gone like, nope, don't want this. Get rid of it. But it's just like... But I had this thought that it's long-term booking. The whole thing is long-term booking.
It has done what a lot of people wanted them to do.
Yeah, it's very annoying because it's like WWE seem like they're doomed if they are, they're doomed if they don't.
Yeah.
It's just like it seems like they can't win with half the people. But it's just I totally agree. It's like just give it to Cena or something.
I think there's nothing wrong with long-term booking, and I actually think sometimes that, as bad as it sounds, that WWE shouldn't listen to the fans. Like, I think if you listen to the fans all the time, you're always going to wind up upsetting somebody anyway. Yeah, but I also think if you do take a massive misstep, because it's not just the fact that it's Kurt Angle versus Baron Corbin at WrestleMania, I could handle that. It's Kurt Angle's last match.
Yeah, you've got to put a show on.
Exactly. It's got to be something that lives up to that title. And that's no offense to Baron Corbin. I actually think the Baron Corbin, I keep saying this, the Baron Corbin character's been dragged through the mud. He wasn't given a chance. He was put in an awful situation that he's now dealing with the fallout on.
It's like, think about how special the Michaels Flair match was.
Exactly. It's literally the one I was going to bring up.
How special that match was from everything and the emotion they showed against each other. And we're just not going to get that with Angle and Corbin. We're just not.
No, because you can't, because people don't, at the moment, people do not care enough about Baron Corbin to be put into the match. That's the real issue. It would be great if they did, but they don't. Like, it's as simple as that.
I like Corbin. I think he's a good performer.
I think he's all right, yeah.
Bastard to fucking hate. He's one of the major heels. Yeah. You really hate him. So he's doing his job right.
He was just put in a bad position. That's it. He was put in a bad position. And is John Cena versus Kurt Angle at this stage going to be a good match? No, of course it's not. But it's irrelevant. It's a match that people want to see.
It's like it's going to be a greatest hits. It's all it's going to be.
And it's what you want.
Yeah, exactly. Because of the fact that this card's going to be so long. I don't need this match to be going on for so long. It's the same with like the Batista Triple H thing that's going on. I don't need that pushing over 20 minutes. I really don't, because I know, obviously, especially Triple H coming back as quick as he has.
I know, crazy, right? From a torn pec.
Yeah.
Mental, man.
But I've come to this conclusion that if Triple H doesn't come out looking like Kratos at WrestleMania, then they're missing a trick there. But it's annoying, because also, thing at Mania, they have to have pyro as well. They have to do it.
I think at Mania they usually do. I remember when Brock walked out on Raw last week and he did his hand thing with I was like, don't even do it, bro. You look ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm like, if you're getting Batista back and his whole entrance was built around the pyro.
That's true. How stupid is he going to look?
Yeah.
I think he'll be all right at Mania. But in general, given all the money they're making and so on and so forth, I absolutely think that we need to... we need to bring it back. Why not? I get that it costs money, but it does add a lot to the shows. I didn't think it did until I go back and watch old stuff. When Brock comes out, Batista Kane is a good one. There'll be loads of other ones. AJ Styles, when he used to come out with the fireworks, and that's not that old. He's quite recent. It's just I think it makes for a better show. I really do. And entrances to me I remember an entrance used to be my favourite thing in wrestling, and I still love them, but they don't feel as good as they once did.
No.
So I would bring back pyro.
I think, obviously, the thing is, the problem with like Mania and stuff is the fact that ramp is so long. They've got to make something of it. That's why, as much as I love The Undertaker, I'm sat there for like 10 minutes watching him just walk down a ramp.
I know, it's weird, isn't it? It's weird.
Okay, just get on with it now.
Yeah.
Come on, I want to see this because I'm here to watch you fight, not walk down a ramp. But like I say, that spectacle there. But it was like when they did the Rumble this year in that baseball stadium. The fact that it just looked completely different.
Oh, I like that. I mean, as I think Shavar came on and told us, you couldn't see anything, but hey, I wasn't there, so I don't know that. I like that. I like the evolution. I like the when things look different because instantly I'm interested. It's weird how your eyes can get used to something, which is why when SmackDown moves to Fox, the first thing they got to do is overhaul the set, make it look completely different.
Bring that fist back. That's what I say. Bring that massive fist
Why
back.
not though? Why not?
Yeah,
like, you know,
exactly.
Either you like it because you recognize it, or you don't, but you don't care because it's something different. I think I need to, you know, it can't just be blue anymore. I need to be able to flick onto SmackDown on a brand new channel. I know I don't live in America, and then go, oh, it's SmackDown. I don't know it's SmackDown just because it's Tuesday at whatever. It'll be different time then. But because it looks different. I think that's really important. I really, really do.
It's good. It's things like when things are visually different, that's why NXT and stuff like that's good. Because when it first come about, it was like this shit reality show. But when it transitioned into like proper wrestling, it was like, oh, looks different to everything else. It still does because of the intimacy. So especially on these vast wide things, especially for Mania and everything, most Manias in the past few years have looked the same. Yeah. I think apart from WrestleMania 30, where you had that set, I think for WrestleMania 30 it was probably one of the best ones we had, especially because of the end of it, the feel good moment with Bryan. It was just great. But I think for Mania especially, it has to be looking different.
Especially at Mania. And I do appreciate what they do with Mania. Like, the sets are always gargantuan. They look incredible. Like, you know, they're impressive. But you're right. Yeah. Sometimes they do fall into one. WrestleMania 30 is one that stands out because it did look so different. Everybody thought it was really, really cool. And, all the shots of Daniel Bryan with that massive thing behind him. And I get it. Like, I saw a big debate online the other day about how everybody hates the fact that WWE's taken away the numbers from WrestleMania. I don't care because we all refer to it as 35 anyway. And I think there's something this is the worst thing I'll ever say, but from a branding perspective, I actually think there is something in just changing the logo and getting rid of numbers. You can make it look nicer, but you need to, whatever theme you're going to do, you got to make sure that it stands out on stage, because I love when all those pictures leak out from WrestleMania. You're like, man, it looks crazy, it looks massive, it looks cool. Yeah,
what annoying me about Mania at the minute is the fact that it seems to be in the same 4 cities.
Yeah, what's that about? They go back to Florida next year as well. Yeah.
America's massive. Put it somewhere.
Put it in Michigan.
Somewhere different. Yeah.
Yeah, just go to Michigan, go to Nevada.
Throw a dart at a wall and be like, okay, we'll have it there. It's like, I'm sure, these stadiums can be big enough. But I know Mania this year is going to be very interesting because obviously you've got this G1 Supercard happening as well. So they're going to have to pull something out of the bag big time for this. They really are.
I tell you, man, WrestleMania weekend in general is great. You've got Impact doing stuff, obviously the Supercard, MLW's there. I mean, there's no point in running through everything. It would take forever. It's an absolutely big deal. And I think the Madison Square Garden show, while it does seem to have the legs cut out for him a little bit because of the Young Bucks and Cody Rhodes, and they were a huge draw, it's still a company that's not WWE selling out Madison Square Garden. And I've been watching wrestling a long time. It's never happened. Like, no one's even stepped in there if you're a wrestling company. So that does instigate change. You don't know what's going to happen after that.
Exactly. And like the things with TakeOver, the TakeOver card this year is amazing.
Well, dude, people are saying show of the weekend, right?
It probably will be. It's just the fact that I get to see Walter on a WWE card is going to be amazing.
I know, that's the best thing about that, because everyone was like, oh, why doesn't Walter just sign up properly? And it's because he likes to stay, he likes to be at home. But look, he's still got onto NXT TakeOver. He'll still get a huge reaction. He's still part of the festivities. That guy smashed it too. Yeah,
exactly. It's like the fact that you're getting all these people from the indie coming over and actually coming up and fighting like things that we'd never see. Like I say, Walter, for example, we thought we'd never see him under the WWE brand.
Yeah.
But when you see TakeOver Blackpool, as soon as Dunn wins and you just hear his music and it's just like, oh, okay. And he comes out and like that crowd go mental is just probably one of the best, like, most historical things for that brand.
I think if Walter win, I think Walter can win as well. It's not going to be the main event.
I think Walter has to win.
I agree. I think Pete Dunne's held that title long enough. I mean, he's been a good stalwart with it, but I just think it's time. And again, it won't be the last thing on the show. It just won't be. So it's not like you have to worry about that or the ramifications. You can just do it, and it's all okay.
Yeah, because I think obviously Dunn either needs to maybe not. But I think he should do what Mustache Mountain do. They bounce back and forth between NXT and NXT UK. Dunn now needs to be like, okay, I think Dunn needs to pick because Dunn is very good.
Oh, man.
I'm not saying that NXT UK isn't like, it's great. But I think Dunn can do a lot on like the main NXT roster. Like, I think I would not be surprised if he becomes NXT champion within the year. Honestly.
Yeah.
Because obviously Triple H sees something in that man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely,
not
dude.
Be pushing, what's he on, like nearly 700 days now?
Probably in fact, let's find out. Pete Dunne, UK title reign. Is it going to tell me you're going to come up? No, you're not, because you're a piece of crap. Yeah, it's long. It's long. That's all we need to know. It's damn long.
Stupid. So it's just like the fact that if he needs to either go on to NXT, win that title, and then just go bam straight up. Because I want to see what they did with Kevin Owens when they brought Kevin Owens up. When they brought him up, it's kind of similar to what they've done for Ciampa, but not as many. When they brought him up, he was NXT champion. And it's just like, here's someone who's important because he's already got a belt.
Yeah, it works, right?
It does.
It works. I mean, what a fall from grace that is, though. I still can't believe everything they've done with him this year.
Oh, it's
firing.
Sat on a chat show on.
Honestly, I can't. I've said this before, but I can't stand chat shows in WWE anymore because it's not like the whole point was back in the day. You'd have someone that would have the chat show, and they'd probably roll them out once a month. But I mean, who's got one? Alexa Bliss has got one. Kevin Owens has got one. The Miz has got one. Somebody else has got one. I can't remember who the hell it is now.
Because if Alexa Bliss is hosting Mania, is the whole thing going to be a chat show?
I hope not.
Not.
We haven't had one good moment of Bliss at the moment. No. That's not her fault. It's not her fault at all. You can only give them the material to work with. Yeah. But I do agree with you. I think that NXT, just NXT in general, is just. Yeah. It's just this is why I don't get when super hardcore fans moan about Raw or SmackDown. I'm like, bros, NXT is for you. You got what you wanted. It's right. Yeah. It's right there. You can just enjoy it. But yeah, I think the Kevin Owens call up was good. I think Ricochet and Aleister Black are doing quite well. To me, Aleister Black,
I agree.
The week before last came across like a real star. I thought he carried himself really well, and I was interested to see what he was going to do. And that, I knew who he was already. Yeah. But I like to think I have a good vibe for what the crowd is feeling. And same with Ricochet. I think both of them are doing leaps and bounds.
Yeah, I agree. But like I say, Gargano now he's like pretty much frustrating because obviously with Ciampa out, now it's kind of we're not going to get that climax. But I think Gargano will just stay on NXT for a bit now. I don't think he'll come back properly. With Ciampa out, it was weird because obviously Ciampa comes up to the main roster as NXT champion, who should be this guy. I know obviously he was carrying the injury at this point. He's a guy who should be shit hot at this point. He's probably one of the best heels in that company at the minute. And it was just like, let's do DIY again. It's just like, what?
Oh, yeah. I kind of get it because I think they were trying to push the tag team division. Yeah. And they knew that they could have really, really good matches, but it was a bit ham-fisted. But I was cool with it. I was like, if that's the way we get them on the main roster, that's fine. And if Triple H can find a way to tell his stories, okay, I can just go with it.
It kind of tied in with NXT because they did the Dusty Classic because it was them doing DIY again, which was going to pay off to them like breaking up and fighting at Takeover for the belt. But it was just like, obviously, because with the injury, it was just like, you can't really do that. So it was just like, But it's going to be interesting how they get, like, I think Ricochet and Black have to stay on Raw. They've got to stay there, I'd feel, because of the fact that Raw hasn't really got much.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I also hope that they don't, if there is a Raw tag team tag team championship match at Mania, and Ricochet and Black are in it, I hope they win. I think don't make them lose for ages. Again, going back to Goldberg, don't have them lose. It's a really good technique to get people more popular with the crowd.
When Goldberg came back for the second time, and because that was my first inclination of Goldberg, seeing him when he come back, he beats Lesnar, whatever, in like less than a minute. It's just like, oh, all right, this man's pretty good then, isn't he? So then you go back, obviously you watch stuff, and you're like, okay, and then you go back to the first run, and then it's just like, oh. That's a shame.
It was that in one,
I watched the Elimination Chamber, the first chamber, when he decimates everyone.
Oh, dude, it's the best.
And it's just like Triple H wins. It's just like, oh,
of course he did. And they gave Goldberg the belt the next event. You're like, okay, that was weird, wrong time. But that's the best thing about Goldberg. Goldberg was cool. I don't care what anybody said, and Goldberg was cool because he went in, he whipped people's ass, and he left. And that's why, with Oscar, we have to beat her because we don't know how to book someone with an undefeated streak. Yeah, you do. Don't have her lose. Look, it was
The Undertaker doing it for 21 years. Yeah, I'm assuming you could do it for a lot longer.
Honestly, if Goldberg had never lost, which I know he'd have to lose eventually, but if he had never lost, WCW would have been it would have been around for longer than it was. Yeah. I'm convinced. I mean, I did all that nonsense with flipping tasers and oh my dear, bad days. Right, dude, we've got about 5 minutes left. Before we do wrap up, I want to get into your because you mentioned that obviously it was the Undertaker, the guy that you first saw. Yeah, definitely. And like, that's badass. Who is it now though? Like, because the Undertaker, he's not really there anymore. He comes and goes.
It's hard now because I honestly don't think that in the WWE themselves, they don't build a star really. Like
No.
AJ was great when he had the belt. I don't think like Rollins is good, but I honestly, personally, don't think he can carry the brand. Personally, I think ideally I'd probably have to look outside. I think Cody, what he's doing at the minute, is great.
Yeah.
I think his matches have been amazing. Everything he's done, like even was it the other day when they were in Mexico, he walks out and he's got a cane. It's just like, you look really cool with that. You look really cool with it. It kind of suits you. Probably keep it. But yeah, it's good. I would probably go Pete Dunne, to be honest, at the minute.
Wow, is it because he's British?
Hands down. It's not just that. It's just that obviously past year we've had this thing, and I remember sitting in when we watched it in Plymouth, us chanting, "We deserve this."
I love fans.
And then Triple H turns around and is like, "I thought you British were modest," and it was just like, "Yeah, no, we're having this. This is ours. We're crowning it." But yeah, I think seeing that, and actually, I think it's this idea of I got to see him fight. You know, I got to see people in a match actually work together instead of just seeing what I'm like kind of cut to show on the TV. But yeah, probably Pete Dunne, the way that he's probably, for me at the minute, the only person on that brand or in the whole WWE like collective that's been like shown to be this mega superstar. You know, someone he won the belt 2017, so nearly 2 years ago.
I know, it's
so
crazy.
It's like he's the only one to be shown to be this massive super mega star at the minute.
Absolutely, dude. I like it, man. Good out of nowhere choice. But obviously, before you started watching Pete Dunne, like who so you get Undertaker, you like him. Say sort of somewhere in between then and now. Who's the guy that carried you through? Because I always find there's one guy that keeps you interested even when things are a bit shit.
I think it was the fact that obviously 2008, the year I got into it, WrestleMania 25 is this main thing, and it would have to be Punk. I lived through the summer of Punk, and I saw it all. And the fact that, like, by then I was then slightly dabbling, as you say, in like what else was going on, and it was just like, okay, so Punk's thinking about going. Is he going? Is he not? We don't know. And obviously now we know about a lot of the stuff was actually like the pipe bomb wasn't him just ranting. It was this idea, and even like the fact that it filtered down with AJ Lee in the women's division. You know, I think Punk kind of he kept me there. You know, even also aside to Punk, Cena himself at that time was at the peak of his like power. So
yeah, dude, like he was in control, even though nobody thought he was.
Yeah, that's like I kind of want him to see. I want to see him equal, or was it? He'd be equaling Flair's record if he won another WWE champion. I want to see him do it. I really do, because I think he kind of. I think he does. I think it's one. It would cap off a good career for him, because I don't think they may let him beat it. I don't know, but it would be nice. But yeah, I'd probably go either Punk or Cena, to be honest.
Well, that kind of sums it up, dude, does it not? And then after you started watching it, a few years later, they collide in one of the best storylines WWE's ever done.
Oh, that 2011 Money in the Bank match is probably one of the best.
Dude, I tell you, again, one of my mates wanted to get into wrestling. I sat down, I gave him the headlines, I watched it, he went, yeah, I'll watch wrestling now. That easy. Didn't need anything.
That's how I got into it. It was like, watch this, and I'm like, this is great. Yeah. I'll carry on.
I like it, man. It's a positive way to approach it. So many people are like, oh, shit. It's like, well, yeah, but it's also quite good as well. So,
exactly.
You know, right, dude, that was a great podcast, man. I'm just going to throw it out there. That was good. You had opinions and you threw them out there. I'm all right with that. Is there anything else you want to promote, like Twitter and Instagram? Don't have to, but I always like to give people the option.
Feel free. If you want, follow me on Twitter. It's at TomSutton09, because, you know, such a generic name, so people are making it all.
Dude,
that's the problem.
Dude, I put 316 at the end of my Twitter handle. Now, if I could go back in time, I wouldn't have done this. I didn't know what my future held.
At least it fits in with wrestling.
It does. But imagine.
Yeah.
And imagine I want to like sort of make a really serious wrestling push, and people see 316 and they're like, Mark. Fucking Mark. It's like, no, man, it was a mistake. It was an accident. Anything else, man, or just that?
Last thing, I just want to say, well done on getting back.
Oh, thanks, dude.
That chair shot you took the other day, that was something, and I'm like, obviously we know it's taken a while, but you know everyone like in the Patreon and everything, it's been there for supporting it, and it's nice to see kind of Joe on the street, you know, some just guy going out following his dreams and just watching it play out.
Thank you, man.
It's nice, like one of us can actually go out and do this.
I appreciate that, dude. That's good of you. And I mean, the patrons will get all the details soon. But just to tease, I'll have a lot more to talk about next week. And if anyone in general is going to Newcastle this weekend for the Defiant tapings, hopefully you will enjoy the carnage. Let's just say that. Right, dude, thank you so much for coming on, man, and the support. You're a good guy. I appreciate it. Again, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Simon316, YouTube.com/SimonReportRules. This will be up there as well. Patreon.com/Simon316, and brand new merch, SimonMiller.BigCartel.com. Again, if you are going to Newcastle this weekend, I'll see you there. Otherwise, download, subscribe, do all those kind of things you do on YouTube and iTunes and all those things. Tom, thanks again, my friend. I appreciate it. And yeah, we will talk to you all again very soon.